I'm going to let Arik power the scry for your run with the balloon brim.
Appreciate it, Oriel.
You could use the practice.
Here goes.
Good. Now move. We'll be ready. Good progress, Bryn. Smooth and steady.
It's looking a bit off. It's normal. Just keep moving and you'll be fine. The balloon's definitely a bit dry looking.
This is a challenging distance to cover. Just keep at it.
is not looking good, folks.
Big push. She's got this. Did we?
Yes. Oh, we could. Excellent work, everyone. We'll get this over to Solar, Bryn. She'll be ready for you whenever.
Before you ask, the answer is maybe.
About the scries? You know?
Of course I know. In this role, I can't afford to be oblivious to one of my colleagues sneaking about. And while well-meaning, Arakim is about as stealthy as a glass tail on rice paper. Which brings me to my question. The answer will tip me from maybe to yes or no. Why are you here and not him?
Khan Arteme, you know Kenrick's temper as well as anyone. How many times did Arakim get punished for daring to step out of line? He has incredible intentions, and will do anything to help your people. But you need to build his trust and confidence.
Let me come again to the point. Why you, and not Arakim?
Honestly, I don't think he knows how to ask.
It's as simple as him asking me. I am not Stanhild.
No, but you have to prove that to Arik as much as he has to prove himself to you. That was the lesson I learned from Aurea. The best leaders are mentors and meet their people halfway. That's what Arik needs from you.
An interesting point. I suppose he did not receive much support. Well, ever. Very well. You have my approval. I shall be watching very closely to see how this proceeds. And fair winds. I hope you can find your answers. I just wish Isla were here to help.
You mentioned you were in charge. Does that mean you're the new Eye now?
So the council is larger than just the 3 main representatives. As you heard, we convened and unanimously agreed that Kenrick had overstayed his welcome in the role of the Eye. So he's been stripped of that, and by default, that means I'm in charge. Emergency authority. Am I the Eye? No. And nor do I particularly want to be right now. But when the time is right to hold elections, we'll do so. We need to break this cycle.
What cycle do you mean?
Council seats weren't permanent before the surge. That idea was Kenrick's, and it's clearly not worked out for us. So again, once we've solved this crisis, we'll chart a new path, assuming we survive. After all, we could all be dead this time next week. You're going to speak to the Talon.
I don't expect to get much out of it, but yes.
Be careful. Clearly the Talon was able to manipulate Kenrick. And while I know you're not the idiot he is, speaking to that thing is risky.
I just have to find out what I can. If the Talon has any insight that can help us.
It's a risk worth taking, I know. Just don't reveal anything in the process.
I knew you'd be back. Dreadfully predictable.
And here I thought I surprised you. Or was your herald getting kicked back to the source part of the plan?
Don't steal credit. Your great icon pushed us back, not you. And I'm quite certain it didn't survive the battle. Judging by the way you charged straight to the Grand Gate upon hearing my plan, you favor misguided heroics. Let me guess. You're going to try for a rematch.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Let's not lie to each other. I like you.
Can't say the feeling's mutual.
Come now, I want to be confidants. Friends, even.
Fine. Let's be friends. Why don't you tell me what the Surgeborn are after so I can help you get it?
I told you, don't lie to me. But because my offer of friendship is genuine, I'll tell you. I'm after the same thing you're after. Magic. And the power that comes with it.
But Surgeborn already wield magic.
Not nearly enough of it. You know the lust for magical power is insatiable. Why else are you risking everything to tear strands of it from behemoths?
I'm not power hungry.
Don't lie. Especially when your actions betray your words with such ease.
How did you end up down here anyway?
I let myself be captured.
Why?
It became apparent that I wasn't going to uncover the secrets behind the Enclave's power by razing its capital to the ground. Though I do miss the razing. Still, I needed intel that I could only get from the inside. So I allowed myself to be captured, and waited until the leader of the Enclave came to visit me alone one day. Kenrick had influence and insecurities, making him the perfect target. He felt quite special that I only spoke to him. It helped that he assumed our herald couldn't pass through the Grand Gate when he staged his attack.
How did it get through? The resonance modulator should have filtered out Surgeborn.
You didn't have a sample of that particular Surgeborn.
In my experience, Kenrick Stanold isn't exactly the trusting type. How did you convince him to open up to you?
I played the part of his distressed prisoner.
Please, please, hurt me. I'll do anything you ask. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Let me live. He was all too willing to believe I was helpless. After all, that would mean he had power.
The Hearthsiders believe you were born out of the Surge. Is that really where you come from?
I will keep some secrets to myself, for now.
I thought we were friends.
Not yet. But we will be. And when that day comes, I will share more with you.
Kenrick Stanold is in rough shape after being your confidant.
I would never treat you like I treated him. You're different. Special. Trust me. In time, you'll consider us kindred spirits.
Doubt it.
See you soon.
Ridiculous! The Stanilds have been receiving the rite of ashes at the Hallowpire Rise for generations. That Hirun doesn't want to send a mourning party is an insult to her memory.
That's not fair. You know Khan Otame would love to give Isla.
Don't say her name.
All I'm saying is the Axel lost someone too. You don't need to make this harder on her.
And who, pray tell, is working to ease my pain? The answer is in the silence. No one. You certainly will.
What did we learn about the scries, fellas?
Nothing good, unfortunately.
You know how all enchanted things use woven patterns to achieve their effects yet? Well, the scries used here for decades were warped. There's no other way to describe them.
Some sort of corruption or decay?
Not exactly. More like elements had fused or connected in different ways than were intended by the enchanter.
I take it that's not normal.
Darm's never seen it, and I asked the High Enchanter, and he had never heard of it either.
Even more worrying is that the Myriad's bloom also behaved strangely while we were trying to distill it. Normally there is a very rote set of steps, but it took Lane and I several tries to find the proper alchemic ratios to make it useful.
And then we have the Spitfires, acting more aggressive than normal, nesting in odd places. Putting it all together, we're seeing a worrying pattern of unexplained changes.
Ones that would be hard to notice if a certain band hadn't broken through the veil. We can confirm these changes aren't happening outside the Enclave.
Huh. What do we do about it then?
Darm and I have been talking about it and have some ideas. Give us a little bit of time to see if we can come up with a plan.
I'll leave you to it.
Darm and I have been running down the mystery of our alchemically odd plants and degraded scries. We've got a working hypothesis, but we're going to need to lean on you again to prove it.
You're right on top of this.
I have been taking notes from my favorite point. She has this habit where she just drags things forward by force of will.
I do, don't I? There's just so much to do. Why ask permission when the next step is right there? As long as I don't have to do any more cross-swamp runs, count me in.
Worse, I'm afraid. We think the source of the problem might be the miasma. Darm's theory is that it's slowly affecting the patterns inside the Enclave.
Our enchantments?
Everything. We've never been able to perceive or harvest them, but there's a school of thought that everything alive has a pattern in it. And if that pattern allows us to interact with and control magic, the theory goes that magic might be able to affect us in turn.
You think we're in danger?
Obviously, tangles are inherently dangerous, but that's the question we want to answer. Could they affect the creatures here in more subtle ways? Could too much magic explain the Spitfire's behavior? If so, we have to worry there might be long-term effects on all of us.
Spirits. How do we prove it?
You've been collecting resonance for all your time in here, as have our enchanters. That data gives us a baseline. What he needs, then, is a comparison resonance harvested during a miasma from any of the natural beasts. Arcs won't help, alas.
Right. I'll tackle it as soon as I can.
This cannot fault more data.
That has to be enough. Done?
Yes. Any more comparison points would suffer from diminishing returns. I appreciate your dedication, Bryn.
If we ever get this place under control, will you run classes?
One thing at a time, Eric.
Sounds like a yes to me.
It certainly is disturbing to think an enchantment can warp.
Any sign of our scry reacting, like the Hearthsider ones?
None, but it might be a matter of time. Who knows what a year or a decade might bring? We'll have to watch closely. Oh, that's rather exciting, I think.
I'm with you, Bryn. Didn't expect the miasma to be so intense over the scry.
You get used to it. Just have to use a more gentle touch and feel the way it slides.
precisely under what conditions it was harvested, it would be perfect for our study.
What's the verdict with the resonance comparisons, Dom? Are we all doomed?
Not doomed, no. But I have every reason to be concerned. Tangles only form in areas of intense magical concentration. That they're so common here in the Enclave makes it clear that this place is overflowing with magic. Have you ever blown into a bladder until it pops? I worry that's where we're headed.
No. Have you?
Ah. Well, I am from Renland.
The patterns did show signs of change then.
Subtle but present. What was intriguing was watching them relax over time, as if the miasma caused them to contract like a muscle.
So things might recover if we could bring an end to the tangles?
I think so. How exactly we pursue that agenda, I'm not sure. But we have several leads we can pursue.
We have to tell the Axel, though. She needs to know about this so we can take every precaution.
We?
Yeah, it's time. Meet you there.
Both of you this time. Must be important.
It is. We've identified a long-term risk to our people. A source of decay in our enchanted devices. And I've prepared a list of safety measures we should take.
You have.
Yes, we... Wait. Why did you say that like you already know?
Arakim, do you know how intense the competition to become Axel truly is? Even in our diminished state, it is ruthless. Each guild jockeying for its representative to be elevated. To win the seat, you need allies, knowledge, and the will to use both.
You've been watching us this whole time.
I have been watching you, Bryn. Yes. I have been judging Arakim.
Always a test.
What I have seen is growth. Your enthusiasm and energy has never been in question. But your judgment and initiative have often been rash. But in working with Bryn's band, I've seen you set goals, lead plans, move from asking permission to making your case. Just as you came here to do, did you not? To lay out a set of clear steps we should take to preserve our new scries and keep our people safe?
Yes, that is exactly what I was going to do.
You should act on your recommendations with my complete support. I know you're not making them lightly, and they affect your people the most. So yes, it was a test. And as Khan, it will be the first of many.
You just said Khan.
I did. The scouts have been ignored for far too long, as we try to pretend everything is as it was. Enough. Unless you disagree, Arik.
No, not at all. We've been pushing for this forever.
Good. And you should thank Bryn when we're done. She raised a very salient point in our last chat that swept away the last of my hesitations. Now take a knee, would you? There's work to be done, and neither of us is really built for fancy ceremonies. If we have learned anything in the past while, it's that standing too firmly on ceremony costs us time and opportunities. We, as a people, would have withered and died without the tireless efforts of your scouts and their forebearers. And yet we have not recognized them, out of fear of tipping a balance that was already lost. And so I elevate you, Arakim Katabi, to the station of Khan of the Enclave, and grant you the title of Guide. May your initiative and care chart a path for us all.
You must be thinking of running after these emergency measures are finished.
I assure you, I am not thinking of much beyond what fresh crisis the next hour holds.
been running more tests on the bloom you recovered.
You didn't need it all for Darm's tools?
No, thankfully. We had a number of false starts with the alchemical processes, but we had enough petals even then. It does speak to the issue, though. I tried every control I could think of, and can only conclude that the bloom itself is off.
Could it just have been that one flower?
Perhaps. Either way, it warrants further study, but Arakim's offered to help us collect more, so it won't impact you.
I think we all suspected prolonged exposure to the raw magic in here would affect creatures, but it's surprising to see how far it's gone.
Is it possible the same thing is happening to us? Or has happened to the Hearthsiders?
While it's long been theorized we must have something akin to strands in us, they've never manifested like in a great creature. On one hand, this means we need mantles to mimic what they do naturally. On the other, Asha, Cassil, and so on seem less affected by the Enclave. It's not like Arakim has grown a third arm. I think we can presume safety for some time.
You think this is caused by something other than direct contact with raw magic, like the tangles?
Oh yes. It's that the air is so thick with magic that tangles can even form. It's unprecedented, and thank the flames for that. Imagine if every creature across the Maida acted as aggressive as the ones you're facing.
What do we do about it, though?
Our first step has to be securing the source. If it's the reason the Enclave had access to so much magic before the Surge, it's also why things are so suffused with raw magic. You see, this is largely an infrastructure problem. The leaks in the tapestry will have to be sealed and magic slowly consumed through usage. If we can reduce the emission of raw magic to below our consumption, the concentration will drop. Once the levels inside match the rest of the Maida, we should be back to some semblance of normal.
Okay, let's take that again. I'm sorry. I needed a moment to step back and refocus after going off about Stanild. I think, okay now.
I'm impressed. Not everyone can pull themselves out of that kind of anger.
A hard-won skill. When I first made head of the Scouts, Stanild did everything he could to undercut me. His favorite trick was poking and prodding until I lost my cool. Always worked.
You've seemed pretty together around him when I've been there.
Yeah. I started practicing Valanshir.
What's that?
The intersection between meditation, bare-hand combat, and breathing exercises. There's a complete series of whole-body motions, painfully slow, moving from pose to pose while controlling your breathing. But at the end, just before you reach the final pose, you explode into the final position, usually exhaling hard like, ha!
And that helps.
Oh yeah. It's a solid workout controlling your motions, but the real struggle is the mental focus, which can be exhausting, but after a few months of practice, it's like being able to slide into that calm headspace on command. A few deep breaths and Stanild can't touch me. Well, except when he puts my people in danger with his ego.
I can see how that kind of control would be vital when dealing with Hearthsider politics. And again, I'm truly sorry to hear about the losses. We'll make their sacrifices meaningful.
Yes, we will. Whatever it takes. Hard to believe I have a title now.
The Axel seemed certain you were ready for it.
Haroon's also a politician. She knows this somewhat buys my loyalty to her if she tries to become the next I.
Would you support her then?
Haroon's a practical lady. She knows the Scouts are critical to our ongoing survival. Farming and fishing around Cassidans keeps us fed, But rare materials for alchemy, medicines, enchanting, and so on, all us.
Which gives you some leverage.
It does. But also my title is precarious, as she granted it as acting eye. No one's going to challenge her, not right now. But implicitly, if she goes, I go with her.
Do you think this will drastically change how you interact with the other scouts?
In time, I imagine so. We've been without an advocate for so long, and right now's the best time for me to push. I do have some promising candidates to take over day-to-day operations. I suppose we'll have to accelerate that process.
Takes multiple people to replace you,
You got me. Yes, I was bragging. I think it's critical we have some checks to make sure the system's working. If one group is over or underperforming, I can try to work with them to figure out why. Wins, listen to me. Just chain me to a desk already. All I do is stare at scrolls and move abacus beads now.
Job 1 will be dealing with the source, right? You feeling up to it?
If it were all on me, I'd be overwhelmed. But I've got your band. An exceptional group with an exceptional point. But you tell me. Am I ready?
You're ready to be a Khan. But I don't think you're ready to stop being a scout. And that's to your credit. Stanhold's failing was never getting his hands dirty. I don't think you'll make that mistake.
You are right. I have actually been stressed about that. I don't want to make my people think I'm shirking leadership, but I can't just sit around in the hall and do nothing.
Just do it. If you need to get out there, and you do, just go. Lead from the front, and then apply the lessons backwards.
That is damn good advice. Hey you. How's my favorite point doing?
Really well, like always. Thought I'd see how you were holding up.
Still reeling a little from the attack, but getting my feet back under me. Forces me to be up all day more often than I should. I should talk to Dharm about that, actually.
Dharm uses some kind of sleep aid. Lane could help you with that.
Oh, are they the secret weapon? I wondered how Dharm does it. I can stay up past noon regularly, but I wear down if I do it too much.
To be fair, I think that's just Dharm. Fueled by his love of enchantment and solar in equal measure. The scouts probably appreciate you being available all day, but that will wear you down if you're not careful. You must have a day watch head who fills in when you sleep.
Yes, but I can't resist getting involved when it's important. I'll talk to Lane. Maybe they have some extra tricks up their sleeve. Ooh, you were really moving out there.
I was told time was of the essence.
Yeah, but you made it look easy. Maybe someday you could give classes to the novice scouts.
I overheard Lane say the same thing, actually. But... oh, it's just running.
Well, you make it look effortless. But when someone's new to it, there's a lot to learn. Balance, gait, breathing.
I've had people note that training in the mountain air probably helped.
I've read about that, but... well, not a lot of chances to compare in recent years. But yes, breathing for distance is a skill, as is conserving energy so you have enough left to push when you need it.
I know everyone's up in their heads right now, but we have real problems to solve. So let's clear the air.
Are you running this discussion, then?
She is.
Sev, this has to start with you. We knew you were working with the Eye. We told you we'd have your back. Help us understand what happened. Just breathe, Sev. Start from the beginning.
I'm sure Bryn and Solar told you all. But I belong to an order called the Norians. We're sometimes called the Watersmiths. Imagine my surprise to learn our talents had been critical to the construction of the tapestry. Our order binds us to always help another Norian, especially a high-ranking one like Stanild, and to keep their secrets.
So that's how he sunk his claws into you.
What did Stanild have you doing?
It was all work on repairing the Grand Gate. He'd heard about our success with the gate in the Hollow and felt I might be able to replicate it. Thanks to your help, I was able to do so. And he took me more into his confidence as a result.
Did you leave the Norians to become Sola's apprentice?
One never really leaves the Norians. Not with their life. If word got out about me betraying Stanild, I'd be a dead ram walking. But no. My people have a ritual known as Ram Bralem. It is a time to pursue another path. And Sola was kind enough to accept me for mine.
It's true. I knew it could be temporary, but was hoping you'd stay on after.
Why is the Order so secretive?
We've always been critical to the survival of Taza. Water is life in the desert, and we control the flow of water. The Elders have a secret political chokehold on the kingdoms. The altruistic Norians will tell you the secrecy is so no one can undo our work. But I have my doubts. And so, the Order operates in the shadows. I imagine they were much the same here in the Enclave.
The most important thing is whether we can trust you.
Yes, Sev. Convince us.
I swear, nothing I did was intended to cause harm. Too many of my Order are political animals. But there is real good to be found among the Norians. Craftspeople who just wish to perfect their art. To bring water to people in need. To experiment, but need the resources to do so. Unfortunately, too many of those resources are controlled by people like Stanild. They're all the same. They see a point of control, water, information, wealth, and they abuse it. I thought the secrets were a necessary evil for some great purpose, but seeing his chokehold on the Enclave, it's stagnation. You all have every right to distrust me. I am sorry. No more secrets. I just can't do it anymore.
If you can't be a Norian, then what are you?
If you'd have me, I'd like to stay.
Those of us who have been here longer than Sev. Thoughts?
It's hard to have divided loyalties. But you did the right thing in the end, and if you hadn't, we might all be dead. That takes courage.
Still wasn't quick enough.
I don't know what to make of any of this. I want to believe you, but it's hard in the uncertainty surrounding us.
When I was going through it, you all pulled together to help me.
You are all heard. And I would add that you joined us under false pretenses, Sev. You had loyalties outside the band you never disclosed.
I have a hard time accepting that he kept so much from us, but shared so much with the Eye. Who knows what Stanild, or gods help us, the Talon heard about us? Only time will tell how much damage that's done.
Lane, I hear you and I understand. Sev has real work to do to rebuild trust. Only you can decide when the apology feels real to you. Sev, that considered, you have worked tirelessly since joining us, and demonstrated an enterprising spirit and deftness as a smith. And before the blade could completely fall, you risked all by blocking it with your own hand. You can never be a Norian again. I do not sense that you wish to be. And who are the Weavers but a group of outcasts and misfits, just trying to muddle through together? You will stay, and you will help. We have work to do. Tell us about Stanild's plan.
Thank you, Horia.
This has been a rough ride for us all. This entire situation is unreasonable. Or would be for most, but not us. We're weavers, Sev included, and rolling with the punches is what we do. But here's our challenge. That Talon. It spoke. It knew things it couldn't know about us. We're on the back foot and need to catch up fast.
Then let me, as Soria said, help. After I repaired the gate, Stanil took me completely into his confidence. He'd been questioning and learning from the Talon, or so he thought.
Not realizing he was being manipulated.
He was increasingly estranged from his daughter. I'd wager he was desperate for a friend.
I'd agree. Based on what he'd learned from the Surgeborn from his friend, he put together a plan.
Use my people as a distraction to pull the bulk of the Surgeborn out of the underworks. Or while he used the gate to... what?
There is a place, deep, deep underground, known as the Source. A feat of engineering unparalleled. It's the secret to the Enclave's power. The abundance of magic. The heart of the tapestry. The thing powering the Veil. There was only a single loom gate still connected to the Source after Asylum cleared all connections. And I'm the one who repaired it.
The Grand Gate would take him right to the heart of things then.
Exactly.
Stanil thought he could... what? Sneak down there and fix things somehow? Tear down the Veil?
His hope was to go down and secure a working space, sealed off from the distracted Surgeborn. He wants to eventually fix things with the help of the Spindle. All glory to his family.
That arrogant idiot.
He'd read in his personal archives there was a system designed to shut down the Source. In the hopes of discovering how it worked, he had been feeding information to the Spindle about it in drips.
Meaning she might have been working on a fix for the Source without knowing it.
Then we have to pursue her research, clearly.
Good. But we still have the problem Stanild never saw coming. A great Surgeborn.
Which almost certainly will be unkillable, if it operates like every other Surgeborn. It's hard to imagine any place more full of tangles than the literal source of the magic that's overflowing.
On that, I have an idea. If I'm right, we might be able to turn the tables and remove its advantage. I'll need Bryn's help if that's all right with everyone.
Of course. If it gives us a chance, we have to take it.
I agree.
Has anyone just thought to ask the Talon?
What would we ask it? Favorite color? Favorite way to disembowel Ashar? No, she's right. It has clearly demonstrated an interest in Bryn. Maybe she could pry some information out of it.
I'm not sure I'll get much. But I'm also sure I'm not going to think it's my friend. So, worth exploring?
Then we have a path forward. Sev will pursue his thoughts on dealing with that beast.
My people have started calling it the Herald.
Of destruction? Doom?
Why not both? As I said, people are on edge.
Fine. Sev pursues weakening this Herald. We work with the Axle to look into the Spindle's latest research. And if she feels like it, Bryn has a chat with our imprisoned Surgeborn.
As good a path forward as we are going to find. Let's call it here and get to work.